Welcome to QWE and Me, the podcast that explores the many paths to becoming a solicitor in England and Wales. I'm Rob Dudley, Head of Employability and Engagement at BARBRI. And in each episode, I'm going to be chatting with recently qualified solicitors, BARBRI alumni, SQE students, and industry insiders. QWE offers incredible flexibility and opportunities, but it can also be a really confusing thing to manage and navigate. That's why we're here, to share real stories and practical advice to help you make confident choices about your career. So let's dive in. I am delighted to be joined today by Tim MacFarlan, who is a SQE 1 and 2 BARBRI alumni. Thank you so much, Tim, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are currently working in practice in an immigration firm.
I certainly am, yep.
That's down in Woking.
It is, very well remembered. It is down in Woking, yeah. And really enjoying it, thank you.
So, Tim, you came into the profession as a career changer. How did you navigate your way through the kind of qualifying work experience piece of the SQE, your SQE journey, with a non-law background?
I was very fortunate, Rob, in that I found a really good firm to start with, where I quickly realised that I wanted to stay for a decent length of time. So I started the BARBRI course October 2021, SQE 1.
Some time ago.
Indeed. Yeah, and I was still working as a journalist at the time. So I was doing that in my spare time, looking for paralegal opportunities. And then it's my wife, actually. She saw a guy on LinkedIn posting, who also used to be a journalist, and he was working at my previous firm. And she said, "Well, they've given this guy a job. Why don't you send your CV to them?" So I did. Got a very nice reply. The usual. "Oh, thank you very much. We'll keep you on file," and then you never expect to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, a few months later, they got back in touch, set up an interview, and they gave me a job, which I started in December that year. I stayed with that firm for 3.5 years, and got my 2 years QWE as part of that. A big chunk of that was studying for SQE. That was, I think I did it in 18 months, which is not as quickly as you can do it, but it was quite intense, with a little break in the middle.
Yeah.
And got all the QWE signed off and the whole package, and now in a qualified role at my current firm, which I started beginning of September.
Yeah, so it's relatively recent.
Yeah, so it all has happened pretty fast, I would say. Got very good fortune to my work and a very supportive spouse.
So you got your first break really from the first firm that you applied for?
Yes, well, no, I applied to quite a few
Did
other
you?
roles, yeah. But the QWE exactly came from the first firm that I worked at in law, so I didn't feel the need to change. I was I did speak to one careers advisor, and they did advise me, "Oh, well, you should look around. You should try and do stints in different places at different firms and different practice areas and so on for your QWE." But I was just happy where I was, and the practice area that I was in, immigration, I'm obviously still in now, so I must like it, and I do like it. So yeah, I just stayed where I was and got 2 years, and I've only ever practiced immigration. I've never worked in immigration. It made sense for me because I used to be a journalist before, and there's more overlap than you would think. I mean, it's very political, immigration law.
Yeah.
It's very current. It's always in the news, and it's about people. And journalism is also all of those things. So yeah, it just kind of made sense to me, and I liked the stability. I liked where I was. Also, I'm a little bit older as a career changer, and someone in their early 20s who might be looking at it might consider differently. They might not be so sure of themselves. They've got more time as well when you're that age to try other other firms, other practice areas, perhaps. The trade-off being you end up with perhaps, I don't know, you do a 12-month FTC somewhere, and then you do 6 months somewhere else, so it can be a little bit bitty, and I would imagine it's quite hard to sort of establish yourself in that context. And there's definitely obviously a shelf life if it's an FTC, but
Yeah.
yeah, also that I think the level of expectation as well is not leaning so much towards developing you long term. Whereas yeah, I find somewhere gave me a paralegal job, and then I very fortunately offered me a trainee role as well. So I could see there was progression happening, and yeah, so it just stuck at it.
What was the inspiration for you? What was the motivation, I suppose, for going into the law in the first place? Why did you choose to switch careers and take on the SQE? It's quite a big
Yeah.
undertaking.
I wanted to be a journalist since I was quite young, and I
Mm.
gave it a really good shot. But it took me like the whole sort of it's not nearly 9, 10 years I was in journalism to
Oh, really? Okay.
like to feel that I'd given it the best that I could, but
Yeah.
long term, I couldn't see a good future for me the way my career was going. So I knew I needed to make a change. My wife and I kicked a few ideas around, and my wife actually had some very good advice from a lawyer, and who's now a friend of ours. And yeah, my wife just said, "Well, why can't you do
Yeah, yeah.
what she does?" And I thought, "Yeah, okay, why not? Let's give it a try." And then started
Exactly.
looking into it. Found out about the SQE, which makes the profession more accessible. Whatever which issues there might be with it, at least you're not tied to getting a training contract
Mm.
in the same way. Um, BARBRI, the flexibility was very good for me. Bec the online thing,
Mm.
that really worked for me. I've done enough university in my life, so didn't wanna go back to being a student even for 1 day a week, so I was able to do it while working 5 days a week,
Mm.
and it was hard, but yeah, I that all was a good fit for me, and yeah, I'm good at passing exams.
Clearly.
I don't know, yeah. As
Clearly, you got through it.
some other aspects of, sort of life and
Yeah.
so on, maybe not so much, but yeah.
Did you feel, though, coming at this slightly later on in life, having had a career in journalism already, did you feel you'd be at a disadvantage in securing? Of course, anybody can do the SQE. Of course, as you say, to your point, it's about the accessibility is absolutely key. But actually starting a little bit later and thinking, I've had a bit of a career already. Am I going to be at a disadvantage being able to secure something like qualifying work experience when I don't have any law background?
I didn't see it that way.
Okay.
Definitely not, I think. I have a lot of transferable skills from journalism, and I try and flip it around, like, what are the advantages that I have?
Yeah.
And having having a previous career, knowing how to operate in different environments within a work environment is something that as a career changer you definitely have a jump on people who are coming straight out of university, for example. I might not have been on the sort of vacation scheme application sort of law fairs treadmill in quite the same way to get my sort of foot in with in the way that a student who's totally focused on law and
Yeah.
everything else that they might be. But I knew I just needed to find somewhere that would give me an opportunity and uh, see that there was something worth their while taking on. And yeah, it didn't actually take me that long to find that. Thankfully.
Great. Yeah.
So yeah, it's all worked out so far. Touch wood.
And were you conscious of that when you were applying to the firm that you did apply to? Well, you mentioned you obviously applied to a number of firms, but did you very much focus on those transferable skills that you said you've developed
Yeah,
through?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you should by that point after 10 years doing another career, your CV should look all right. Yeah, quite a presentation apart from anything else. You should know how. Yeah, you should know how to present yourself, how to sell yourself, how to
Mm.
come across. You've got that extra maturity, life experience, and so on. These are all advantages.
Mm.
So I was able to sell that to a firm that was receptive to that, obviously having taken on someone else who'd changed careers previously from the same background as me. So that was great. Yeah, there are those opportunities out there if you're a career changer, I think.
What sort of tasks, I suppose, or responsibilities did you take on during your qualifying work experience, and how did they help you develop those really important SRA solicitor competencies?
So I think it was a step up from being a paralegal to a trainee, and everything that sort of comes with that. I'd say that's the sort of overarching theme. So that's more client contact. That's
Right.
more supervisor being more hands off. That's more dealing with new inquiry calls and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and attending calls with clients and trying to contribute more and more and build relationships with them more and more. So I think when you're a paralegal, you should be thinking, okay, I've got to try and project myself as a trainee, and then you're a trainee, you've got to be thinking, how am I going to project myself like I'm a solicitor already qualified? So yeah, that was how it was for me, I think.
How did you feel in that transition? Was it a really noticeable sort of shift between having been a paralegal to being a trainee?
I think it was quite gradual
Okay.
in terms of the instruction responsibilities, but I definitely tried to shift my mindset
Mhm.
and to exhibit kind of behaviors that would indicate that I was ready and that
Yeah.
I was progressing. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I took, I guess, the last sort of 2 years of my, or up to the point of applying, getting the QWE signed off. Yeah, you just go back 2 years from when I did it. So that encompasses, I think, still a bit of time when I was still a paralegal, but then mostly when I was a trainee. So yeah.
And has that shift been as obvious this time now that you've gone from being a trainee for 2 years to now being an associate?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, another step up,
Mm.
which is very good. I've moved to a much smaller firm now,
Mhm.
which is really exciting because it's growing, and we are given a lot of responsibility for doing that. So the marketing side of things,
Mm.
yeah, doing things like this. It's great
Yeah.
for trying to raise profile myself and the firm. But yeah, I think you yeah, definitely do need to nail the law day to day for sure, in a
Yeah.
way that there's a bit more of a safety net when you're a trainee or a paralegal. So yeah, I think much more feel like the buck stops with me now, which is how it is when you're qualified, and that yeah, that is a shift. So yeah, adjusting to that, and hopefully, well, you probably have to ask my managing partner, our partner on that. But yeah,
Yeah.
um,
And did you, when you look back, do you sort of feel as though you got the best experience you possibly could through your trainee experience and trainee
yeah,
time?
definitely. Like I say, yeah, very lucky with the firm I was at
Yeah.
previously. Um,
What sort of tasks were you doing? Talk us through some of
yeah,
the sort of day to day.
I think so. Day to day. Oh, good question. I talk about marketing, sort of networking. I
Mm.
tried to step that up when I was a trainee. Internal training as well is something my previous firm took very seriously, and there was a lot of planning that goes into that. They've got a whole PSL, the Professional Support Lawyers
Mm.
department, so you work closely with them on that kind of stuff. So yeah, trying to contribute more that way. Yeah, and then like I said, in terms of the work, just try and um, project myself as much as possible,
Mm.
like
Mm.
a solicitor would, as someone that you could trust to uh, yeah, to handle queries and matters with that level.
Yeah. A lot of students that we speak to are grappling with deciding when to do their qualifying work experience. Should they do it before they start their SQE studies, during or after, or a combination, whatever it might be? What did you feel at the time was useful for you having started your qualifying work experience
Mm.
whilst was it useful for you whilst you were studying your SQE? Was it directly applicable?
Yeah, I didn't have any issue with the overlap. I think I was with yeah, in a supportive environment, so that was good. There was never any sort of conflict. I had to work very hard managing my time, that's for sure.
Right.
So to get to study and also, yeah, to be at a good level day to day work every day. I'd say don't be afraid of doing them both at the same time, but you've
Yeah.
got to find what works for you. And yeah, as I've said, I'm a little bit older, so um, that that meant I probably wanted to move more quickly than someone perhaps in their early 20s would, who's still sort of feeling things out a bit. So yeah, I was more than happy to.
You talked about the fact that, of course, you had some of your paralegal experience signed off as part of your
Yeah,
QWE.
I think probably.
Yeah.
Um,
And
thinking
what was
about
the
it.
process there? Was it just dealt with
Um,
by the firm, or did you?
yes, I asked my supervisor at the time, who was the senior person in the firm
Mm,
with responsibility for that anyway. Um, and yeah, it was just a kind of um, pretty straightforward
yeah.
administrative process. There's not the same need to sort of record your what you've been doing in the same way as I think there was previously.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I started off doing that anyway. I had my own spreadsheet because I thought it was going to be necessary, and it turned out to be a lot more straightforward.
Well,
But I had that in reserve just in case that kind of thing. So,
very well prepared.
yeah.
Did you have that conversation with the firm when you applied to them? Did you say, I'm looking for experience that I can then use towards my qualifying work experience?
But to be honest, at that stage, I was still researching a bit. To be fair, like
Okay.
what the whole process was. This is well, end of 2021, so SQE wasn't quite so bedded in at the
Mm,
time, and there wasn't a lot of, I think, awareness around about exactly what was needed, especially with QWE. Hence, like I said, I was thinking, oh god, I should be recording what I'm doing because this is I'm going to need to submit this at some point to the
yeah.
SRO. But no, with SQE, it's quite straightforward in that respect. Exams themselves, maybe not quite so
That's a different story.
straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you very much to get over those hurdles. So,
Do you have applied to firms where you got a more diverse range of experience, or were you happy the fact that you really, really focused on immigration law?
I've been happy with that
Yeah.
because yeah, like I said, it's a good fit for me. It's a very interesting practice area, so I've been quite lucky. I think is an issue sometimes that you perhaps in law you can feel a little bit railroaded in terms of practice areas, but I've not felt that way.
Thank you so much for your time. I've got one
Oh,
last
yeah,
very quick question for you, just really because so many students will be watching this, listening to this, will be thinking to themselves, do I take it? Do I take the SQE anyway? But and what sort of format of qualifying work experience should I take? So I just wonder whether there was one little piece of advice you could give to an sort of an aspiring solicitor as to what's the best
yeah.
path for them.
I think, yeah, for me, it was more important to find a supportive environment and a good firm to train at, even more perhaps than um, like I'm desperate to get into XYZ practice area, for example. Like I got the job as a paralegal there, fantastic, and I was like, okay, actually, yeah, immigration is great. I didn't necessarily go into it thinking, oh, at that time,
Yeah.
having never worked in law, oh, then yeah, it's definitely got to be immigration. But it just happened to work for me. The sort yeah, the moving around, the doing the sort of FTCs and the 6 months here, 6 months there and stuff, that wasn't personally for me. Uh if yeah, I would think carefully about that if I was uh whether that's what you want to go down. I think it's more important to find someone that's going to support you and where you enjoy working, nice people, nice culture. And then, yeah, I just be open and honest about your